Uh, Good evening, good morning, everyone, from wherever you're joining. Welcome back to week 6 of Self-Awareness Journey series. We are almost to the end, towards the end of the series. And today's topic is going to be about relationships. Do you know what is the most important thing or value in our lives for growth and transformation? It's not money, it's not success or fame, and no prizes for guessing because that's the topic for today. It's relationships. Our relationships are the greatest instances for growth and transformation. So, relationships we have with others are powerful mirrors reflecting who we are, both the light and the shadows. So, there is a term in the modern New Age spirituality and even psychology, which calls it the shadow work. Shadow work is part of doing our inner work, especially with self awareness. So, all of us have a good side and a shadow side. Let's not call it a bad side, but a shadow side that we are not aware, especially when we are on our autopilot mode, running unconsciously and just living for the sake of a rat race, like participating in that rat race and living without awareness, living in body consciousness, or we are not aware. There's no self-awareness. So that's when we do not even know that we have certain shadows. So this whole point of self-awareness is to develop that aspect of understanding our shadows apart from our good things or the light. So today we are going to dive into how self-awareness is crucial in maintaining happy and healthy relationships, because that's where most of us suffer or have issues with in our lives. At some point in our lives, we definitely undergo a strain in relationships with our family or friends or colleagues, because relationships is it's the fundamental of human existence in a way. And spiritually speaking, many souls, most souls come with lessons and karmic baggages related to relationships. So it's not something to be taken lightly, and we cannot survive in this world without experiencing the true fruits of healthy and happy relationship, as they help us heal, grow, and transform. So, as you saw the title, it's about mirror effect, self-awareness in relationships, the mirror effect. So we'll explore the concept of mirror effect and how self-awareness helps us in relationships, the role of boundaries, attachment styles, and how cultivating conscious communication can deepen our connection with others. So what is this mirror effect? It's in the term mirror. What does mirror do? It just reflects what we are showing it to, right? It just reflects. It's just a reflection, mere reflection. So the mirror effect suggests that people we interact with reflect back to us aspects of ourselves. So this can be both positive or negative. In every interaction, the other person mirrors our beliefs, our emotions, some unresolved issues, and needs. For instance, young people like who are potentially searching for a partner or looking for a groom or bride or a life partner, especially in today's generation, there is often a phrase that they use: I keep attracting the same kind of people, they say. They're unable to sustain healthy relationships. They're undergoing breakup after breakup, multiple breakups, even with friendship or even with colleagues or even your co-workers. You don't seem to get along well with co-workers, and you keep attracting similar kind of people for no reason. And you kind of think that there's something wrong with me, and I keep attracting similar kind of people. But in reality, the people that we attract or the people that we encounter repeatedly are merely reflections of our inner world. They're reflections of our inner turmoil. And if the lesson that we are supposed to learn, if the karmic baggage that we are supposed to get rid of is not taken care of, if there are emotional wounds or childhood wounds that are not healed, we keep attracting the similar circumstances, similar people, because the lesson is yet to be learned. So once we figure out that the issue is not with the other person, it's within ourselves, there is some aspect within me that needs to be healed. There is some aspect within me where I need to learn to stand up for myself so that I'm not being a doormat. People don't take advantage of me. Situations like these are where people feel like, in relationships especially, that they're attracting similar kind of people, someone who does not value them enough or someone who does not respect them enough. So once we identify, and that is what self-awareness is all about, that we've been learning throughout this series. Self-awareness is to becoming aware of our patterns, aware of our inner child wounds, aware of our habits, aware of our thought patterns, emotional triggers, and also the shadows that I spoke about, the negative side of us, like how are we reacting, how are we responding to people or situations. So all understanding and awareness of all these and working towards healing or developing a growth mindset and transforming ourselves is when we start to see the change in our outer reality, in the people we meet, in the connections we make, in the relationships we get into. So mirror effect is nothing but it suggests that the people we interact with reflect back to us aspects of ourselves. It's never about the other person. If somebody is making you angry, it's never about the other person making you angry. It's always something within us of what is getting triggered that is causing us the anger. So for instance, if we feel frustrated or resentment towards someone, it may be an invitation to look within and explore what part of us is being triggered, rather than developing that hatred or resentment towards the other person, because that again goes down the other path of that negative loop and victim mentality and all of that, which is we've seen during our ego session, that is totally ego driven. So, for example, consider a person who feels judged by their partner or by their wife or husband constantly. So, in many cases, this judgment might just be a mere reflection of how that person judges themselves. For someone who does not value themselves enough, or someone who does not feel worthy enough from within, they often get very defensive when somebody points out something and they take it personally and they feel that they're being attacked, they're being judged for no reason. So if you're constantly feeling misunderstood, it's important to look inward and ask yourself, what am I not understanding about myself? Because only if I am able to understand it about myself, I can communicate my need clearly to the other person. So this realization is what comes through with self-awareness. And this realization helps break those patterns and creates that space for transformation or inner growth. So now let us see how self-awareness is crucial and how it helps with relationships. So as we've been seeing since the beginning, self-awareness is the foundation of healthy and transformative life. And it's nothing different even with relationships. It is the fundamental foundation of a healthy, thriving relationship. So people, when they look for a partner or a prospective bride or groom or, a life partner in general, they want to fill in. They feel like there are two halves coming together to make a whole. But if we approach relationships with this mindset, we will always encounter a codependency. We will always encounter a lack within ourselves because we are trying to fill in with that relationship with the other person. But imagine two complete whole souls coming together. What a beautiful relationship that will be. Two complete human beings who are totally independent emotionally. There is no codependency. There is no sort of attachment like expectations or ego-driven patterns, how beautiful that relationship is going to be. So when we became self-aware, we are better equipped to recognize these needs, and that my life, my happiness is completely my responsibility. It's not my partner's job or my partner's responsibility to make me happy, to make me feel secured, to make me feel worthy. It's always you, it's always us. So when there is a lack within ourselves, when there is low self-worth, or when we don't value ourselves enough because of our ego patterns, conditioning, as we've seen in the last few episodes, few series of the series. For instance, if somebody is not working and they don't feel worthy enough because they're not working, because of the societal conditioning where there is value for people who work, they automatically feel that lack within themselves. So they attract similar kind of responses from people around surrounding them, even their partners, even their friends, or people they meet in general. When you're very secure and fulfilled and value yourself enough from within, you won't be triggered much by whatever the other person says. So self-awareness helps recognize emotional triggers. By identifying what sets us off, we can stop reacting unconsciously. For instance, my own personal example, for me, relationships was also one of the main reasons that pushed me to my emotional rock bottom a few years ago. And that's when the spiritual awakening experience happened. So one of the reason what issue I had was I used to get very angry or triggered when people used to blame me for no fault of mine, or comment or criticize me for my physical appearance or things that are beyond my control that I cannot change. But I've been criticized enough for that. So I used to get angry. But if I valued myself enough, if I knew deep down that my worth did not depend on the way I looked or the way I'm being perceived by the other person, I wouldn't even feel angry, because I understand that the other person's perception is totally skewed depending upon their societal conditioning and their ego patterns and their upbringing and all that. So that level of understanding I did not have back then. And this is how most of us react. We react, we don't respond, because we are not self-aware. And when we become self-aware, we understand that all of us are operating on ego. All of us are having these multiple conditioning and multiple patterns and multiple things going on in our head. So there is nothing to be taken personally in the first place. Next, we'll try to understand attachment styles in relationships. It's quite important to know what our attachment style is, especially if relationships do not come without any expectations. We all have certain expectations. We want our wife to be a certain way. We expect our wife to respond a certain way, or we want our husband to love us a certain way, to react a certain way to things. We make assumptions. We seek that they should understand us without us communicating what we need. That's what is the problem with most women. We expect men or husbands to understand what we are going through without us communicating. So understanding attachment styles helps develop that self-awareness of where we fall into and how we can rewire those patterns or heal those wounds that we have. So our attachment styles can greatly influence how we relate to others. So awareness of these patterns can help us heal from our past wounds and form a better relationship and forming healthier bonds. And then, so the first attachment style is anxious attachment style. So people with anxious attachment style, it's in the name, right? They often seek constant reassurance. They want that reassurance that they are safe and they're always loved. There is this fear of abandonment. Again, this goes down to the inner child wound that we spoke about two sessions back. They were not given enough love or constant love as a child from their parental figures. So they have this constant need of reassurance. They seek that reassurance from their partner or from the friends or, any sort of relationship that they're having, because deep down there is a fear of abandonment. So if we are not aware of this pattern, we might come across as too clingy or too needy to the other person. We are always asking them to tell that you love me, or we always seek their physical touch, or there is some sort of that neediness or clinginess that comes off when a person has this anxious attachment style. For example, if there is a woman who is always worried that her partner might leave her someday, and as a result, she frequently asks for reassurance. As I said, they ask for, do you love me? Do you love me? Why are you behaving like this? The person may be behaving a certain way due to pressure at work, stress at work, or something else. But this woman is busy thinking that she did something wrong, and she's afraid that the guy might leave her and go, because there is this anxious attachment style, and there is an inner child wound of fear of abandonment. So this kind of behavior often pushes people away because nobody wants to, because the other person might be tired of assuring, because what else can the other person do? When we feel that void within, nothing from outside can fill in that void. It's all within us. So once that woman becomes aware of this attachment style, then she realizes that her fear is stemming from a childhood experience. So with this insight of self-awareness that she developed, she will learn to manage her anxiety and communicate more openly with her partner. So initially, if she is trying to heal this aspect, she may communicate this to her partner, that I am having this kind of wound. I'm trying to heal. Please give me some time. If I appear too clingy or needy, please don't take it seriously. And I'm working on it. I just need your support. This is the kind of communication that we need to practice, and that comes with awareness. So second attachment style is avoidant attachment style. So this is the hyper independence kind of wound that we come up with. Individuals with avoidant attachment style, they might be uncomfortable with emotional closeness or vulnerability. They cannot express what they're going through very openly to their partner or to their friends or family circle. So they tend to shut down emotionally during difficult conversations. They try to escape or avoid difficult conversations. We always want only happy, cheerful conversations, but real friendship and real test of relationship comes when you're comfortable to be vulnerable, be open, and talk about your needs, and also listen to the other person's needs. So another example, consider a man or a guy withdraws emotionally when his partner talks about serious issues, just like I said, because he believes that emotional distance keeps him safe. So he doesn't want to get into that. They call this drama. Most men have this because they consider having open emotional conversations as dramatic, and they try to avoid it. And they have this, and people, especially who have this tendency of suppressing emotions, not embracing, have this style, have this attachment style. So once this guy becomes self-aware, when he practices self-awareness, this guy learns that detachment is a defense mechanism for past hurts, because that person is choosing to stay engaged and work through difficult emotions together. So self-awareness gives that strength, that it's okay to embrace whatever you're going through, and it's okay to share with another person. It's okay to feel vulnerable. So vulnerability is not weakness. In today's society, and our societal conditioning has been in such a way that person who shares their sorrows or pain is often seen as weak. That is a conditioned belief. It's not the fact. Being vulnerable is actually a strength. You need to be open to be sharing, because when you're not driven by ego, you won't be afraid to share your pain, because you understand it's natural part of human life. Okay. So there are more attachment styles apart from anxious and avoidant. But for now, I'll finish this, and if I have time, I'll cover the other two. So when we have understanding these attachment styles, like reading more books around it, doing some research, to get awareness of how you are operating in a relationship, how you are showing up in the world, and trying to heal those aspects with self-awareness is one of the crucial aspects, with especially with relationship, is understanding boundaries. Boundaries is a crucial concept in psychology. If you go to a therapist for therapy outside for any issues related to relationships, the first and foremost concept that they come up with is understanding boundaries. Especially for Indians and South Asian communities, we lack boundaries. There is no concept of boundaries. We're not taught about it. So we feel that having boundaries is selfish. There is this conditioned belief that having boundaries is selfish. It's absolutely not. Healthy boundaries are essential for healthy relationships and healthy operation in the world. So healthy boundaries are vital. They are like non-negotiable for all relationships. Without them, there is a risk of emotional burnout and a feeling of overwhelm in relationships. When there is no boundary and one person is constantly sucking out your emotional energy, there's nothing to give. There's no love to give. There is no energy to exchange. So self-awareness helps us identify our limits and express them in a healthy way, in a loving, peaceful way that nurtures respect and also understanding between the two individuals, whatever relationship that is. For example, let's consider there is a girl who is constantly overwhelmed by constant demands of her family. Like all of her family members depend on her in some way. So she has trouble saying no because she fears rejection. She thinks saying no maybe some sort of rejection from their family members. So once this girl learns to practice self-awareness, she realizes that setting boundaries is not selfish. It's just about preserving her well-being. If she is able to preserve her emotional energy, if she is able to preserve her well-being, she can do more for her family. She can show up better for her family. When there is burnout, you can't give your 100% to anything, be it your work, your relationships, or the way you show up in the world. You cannot be your 100%. So there has to be some healthy boundary with everything that we do. There is a limit. We need to understand our limit, and it's different for different people. For instance, I cannot take constant conversations for a long time. One way, I'm good. Two-way conversation for long hours is emotionally draining for me. So I need some space. I need my time to rejuvenate and come back. So if I have a social gathering, if I attend a social gathering, I take my time, alone time. I need a good amount of alone time. I understood this pretty early on since I was a child. So I don't attend continuous social gatherings much because I understand my limits. I have my limits. That way, I show up well with whatever limited functions or gatherings I attend. I'm at my best. But if I'm constantly uh, giving with the fear of saying no, if I constantly keep attending every invitation that I get, knowing that I get drained, I cannot give my 100%. I cannot make fulfilling conversations with people around, right? So realizing your boundaries, your limits is important, and also expressing them, learning to express them in a healthy way without the fear of rejection or fear of abandonment, all those egoic patterns. Very compassionately and nicely, I appreciate your invitation, but I may not be able to make it. I'll try to attend next time. Very polite way of saying things that comes with practicing boundaries. So with compassion, and we create a healthier dynamic even with our family members. Suppose there is an argument between your spouse and you yourself, between wife and husband. Instead of reacting one upon the other and going and slamming doors, if the person, one of the two is self-aware, they pause and they're able to communicate that I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. And us arguing will not take us anywhere. Please give me a minute to rewire myself or to get back to stability. And then we can discuss. And you step out without slamming doors. The other person will automatically cool down. Even if they are not cooling down and they are reacting, that is their ego pattern, because they have their own, they're not self-aware. So, but once we begin to practice this, we see we notice difference. Even our partners are perceiving us, and they're responding to us. So when we understand our attachment styles, when we practice self-awareness with meditation and all the techniques that we've been seeing, understanding our wounds, understanding that even the other person has wounds, even the other person has their own trauma, even they are operating from their ego, there are certain aspects that improve, which really help with building that a strong relationship. The first one is the power of listening. We become very, very good listeners. So self-awareness not only helps us understand ourselves better, it improves how we listen to others. Because when we listen with awareness, when we are fully mindful, without texting on the side on our phone or scrolling through social media, or just listening for the sake of listening from here, leaving from here, all that, we are not doing all that. We are very self-aware and we listen mindfully. We listen with awareness. We stop making assumptions. We try to see beyond what is spoken. The person may be talking angrily, but you're able to see their wound rather than that person's anger. That's where compassion comes in. That's the whole point of spirituality and oneness. So even if the other person is lashing you out, you should be able to witness the reason behind that person's lashing out, because there's nothing to be taken personally. We do not make any assumptions. Instead, we listen deeply to understand, not to react. Example, a husband comes back home feeling frustrated and his wife normally interrupts with advice. So, however, after practicing self-awareness, the wife realizes that the husband doesn't need any solutions. He's just expressing his frustration because he needs to be heard. There's one line that I always say: after roti kapda makan, the basic need of human being is to feel heard, seen, and understood. We all want to feel seen, heard, and understood. That is the basic emotional need of every human being. So we want to vent out, we want to share our vent up to someone, not to seek solutions. We just want to feel heard. We want to see that somebody is there to, I can share something to them. Not that you do not know how to handle it. Sometimes it's just frustrating and you want someone to lend a ear. So once the wife practices self-awareness, she listens attentively and understands the husband is going through something, and she just lends emotional support. And this strengthens the relationship, rather than giving advices and cutting off, you are doing this, you're doing that, maybe you should cut down your working hours, do this, advice. Everybody knows that. The person who's actually feeling the frustration knows what the problem is. So they know the solution as well, but they just want someone to have, to hear them out. So from a spiritual perspective, relationships, as I said, are the biggest biggest karmic lessons that we learn. Most of us, we take this birth to learn those lessons, and they are a divine mirror showing us our growth. So when somebody is triggering you and somebody is able to make you react, that person is your teacher in a way. There is something in you that's being invoked, something in you that needs to be healed, something in you that needs to be fixed. And once that is done, you will stop. You'll notice that automatically the people around you will perceive you differently. They will respect you differently. The way they communicate with you will be different. And the kind of connections and people you attract will also be different. Even in Bhagavad Gita, there is a phrase where Krishna says, one should uplift oneself by one's own mind and not degrade oneself, because the mind is both the friend and also an enemy. So if we keep degrading ourselves, we degrade others, so we spoil relationships. But once we uplift our own mind, once we are able to understand our value and worth intrinsically within ourselves, without the need for external validation or external push or external person, we are automatically able to uplift the other person as well, people around us as well. With that, every relationship of ours becomes very beautiful. So when we are self-aware, we respond to others with greater compassion and wisdom and not from ego-driven reactions. And there is an underlying unconditional love that gets developed. So the problem with today's parents, especially not today, but since generations is, for example, the parent, when someone who must have not done well academically, they are the ones who are behind their children to the extent that the child feels too much pressure to perform academically. Why? Because they don't want the child to repeat the mistake they made. They're trying to be protective. But with this protection comes an attachment to outcome. So if you love unconditionally, the parent should be able to understand the child's strength and weakness and help the child grow in what they are supposed to grow, rather than rubbing their own expectations or their own fears. So when we have self-awareness, especially for parents, when they are self-aware, they understand when they are trying to rub their intentions on their child. That comes up. And they become aware and they're able to nurture and love that child unconditionally without attachment, without any pre-existing expectations, and help that child flourish and grow along with flourishing our own soul and growing through our own growth, awareness. So I have more, but since we're out of time, I'll stop here. I hope you got a basic understanding of how relationships are fundamentally based on self-awareness. And if you want to improve relationships or anything in life, self-awareness is the foundation. Please learn to understand yourself, understand your patterns, understand your habits, your emotional triggers. Your world, your relationships, your outer reality will automatically transform, and you'll see how beautiful it all works out. Thank you.